Welcome to the Life Is podcast, where art, travel, design, business, sustainability, and culture come to life through conversation. I'm your host, Coy Brown, and each week I sit down with visionaries, entrepreneurs, travelers, and artists who are shaping the way we live, create, and connect. These are stories that inspire, motivate, and expand what's possible, because life is what we make it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll get started. Like I said,
Yeah,
I appreciate you coming on to the podcast.
absolutely. Thanks for
And
asking.
yeah, I'm super excited because as I look over the questions yesterday, I'm like, man, this is really, really good for the viewers who are going to be listening. As I'll start, I guess to keep it super simple, if you can, tell us for the guests, where are you from? What are you doing? And who is Dr. Lindvall?
Yeah, so I'm currently based out of Elkhart County, Indiana, but where I'm originally from Oregon and have
Yeah.
lived a lot of different places across the U.S. Oregon, Idaho, Texas, and then California, Indiana.
Okay.
So I'm kind of a little bit of everything. And a little bit of a mutt culturally, like originally a lot of West Coast, but I've definitely picked up, a decent amount of Midwest along the way. And but yeah, and I mean, I think all of those all of the different places I've lived and people I've gotten to interact with has just been a big part of who I am now and who I've become, and a lot that I appreciate about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you can too, touch on what are you currently doing now? What kind of keeps you
Yep.
busy,
Yeah.
career wise?
So I'm currently doing inclusion and culture work for Winnebago Industries. And so Winnebago Industries is based out of Minnesota, but we have 65% of our workforce here in Elkhart County because we have our brands. We
Wow.
have Barletta, we have Chris Craft, we have
Yep.
Lithionics, we have Newmar, we have Grand Design, and then of course the original Winnebago.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so that's my main gig that keeps me busy. But then also I also do performance psychology, both in sport performance and then also in the athlete world. I mean, that's my bread and butter. That's where I started, and so that also keeps me busy. I have a company called the Mindful Project that I started in 2019 with a good friend of mine, Canadian Olympian Aaron McLeod. So have my own consulting that I do that I am currently in process of starting a DRL Performance, which is more specifically to my brand versus the partnership of the Mindful Project.
I love it. I love it. So you're staying busy. Obviously, sports fan, sports athlete, and kind of leads me to my next question because we're kind of going to go forward. So I'm going to kind of take us forward for the viewers, listeners here. I'm going to go forward, kind of take us back. You kind of touched on a few things here. So as I know offline, you've been a collegiate soccer player, right? You coach soccer. Now you're a senior inclusion cultural business partner of Winnebago Industries. When you look at that path, and really all of those, where I guess what would you say the common thread is to all three of those?
Yeah, and it's actually something I had to think about at first too, because I never planned on being in manufacturing. I mean, as you said, I was a collegiate soccer player, and actually, started coaching collegiately right out of college, which is pretty rare.
Yeah.
And then coached for 20 years, was in higher ed, taught exercise science and sports psychology, got my master's, my doctorate, like all of those things was all about staying in higher education. And I think the thing that I loved about it so much was not just, obviously I love sports and I love women's
Right,
soccer, but it
right.
was always about investing in the whole person, whether it was in my classroom, whether it was on the soccer field. It was always about how do I help people get the most out of themselves and how do I
Mm,
help them accomplish the goals they want to accomplish and see what's possible for them. So when I was stepping back from college coaching in 2020, just was starting to get burnt out, loved the sport, loved so much stuff, but just getting burnt out. And so was going to just continue teaching. And at that time, I got recruited by Bill Coughlin, who's like one of the best humans alive and at Lippert. And he
yeah.
kind of, helped me realize that he said the same things you love about coaching and teaching, he's like, you can do in manufacturing. So I spent 3.5 years at Lippert, and I was the director of culture and leadership for the Marine division there. And yeah, that common thread is I am just an absolute geek and nerd about helping get people the tools to accomplish what they want to accomplish. And so that's my common thread that it took me a little bit to look back and say, why do I love this so much? And then the same
Yeah.
thing at Winnebago. It's like, why do I love it? I love it because I love getting someone just that one little tool that they maybe didn't know was missing that just launches them to wherever they
Yep.
want to go.
It's funny because you say that, I'm listening. It's like that's such a coach mindset. Like you want to extract everything you can out of this athlete or right student athlete, give them the best they can, all they can to succeed. And getting in a sense obsessed about helping them, developing them to say, here's where you are, here's where you can go, here's what's possible. And I think that translates and transcends beyond sports, just like career, life. Like there's more that you can accomplish. There's more in you. And as in your position, I'm here to help you. Like I want to help you. I want to see you get, reach those potentials and those heights. So, man, I love that. And I was joking in my head. You said 20 years. I was thinking you look 25. So
Yeah,
we don't know.
it's all the lighting.
Yeah, it's
It's
like it's good
I'm sure
skin
your
routine.
studio is taking a few years off.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I want to switch gears here. We're kind of go to like origins of coaching and leadership. You kind of already teed it up, which is great. And you kind of already touched on it briefly here, but like what originally drew you to soccer and coaching? Not just a sport, but maybe like the idea of developing people, which, like I said, you kind of touched on a little bit.
Yeah, I think, soccer, ironically, I came to soccer later in life. I always played sports from as long as I can remember.
Right.
But, growing up in the part of the country that I did, there wasn't soccer didn't come around until later in life. So I actually went to play soccer because I was bored. And it was my off season for basketball because I was like basketball, baseball, softball. I was everything else. And then I would just played that because I was like, my friends were like, come do this. I was bored. So I went and did it and just loved it, had a lot of success, and ironically, that ended up being my college sport. And I think, as far as just a passion for investing in people, I'll be honest, I think I got that a lot from my dad. Like, my
Mm,
dad was passionate about that, and I think just seeing his passion, and he was passionate about investing in me and
that's
investing in
awesome.
people around him. And
Yeah.
so, honestly, I think I kinda just picked it up from him, and then watched him, and then I would do it. It just gives me so much joy. And so
Yeah.
then I think when I had the opportunity to coach, and I think ironically, I was coaching the athletes I had just graduated. I mean, it is not a normal thing to do.
Yeah. You're
And so to be able to go from, as a captain of the team the year before, so coming along athletes as, a peer, and then being
right.
able to come alongside them as a coach. And also I knew their struggles we had with the previous coach, right? Or the previous situation. So I felt like I was at a unique opportunity to fix those things.
Yes.
And so I think just, I don't know, like I just have a passion for giving people a great experience and then also just, yeah, helping them
To the sport. Yeah.
succeed. So maybe it's just a little bit of my DNA.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. The lineage from your father, right? You see that, you're around it.
Yep.
It can kind of trickle into you and bleed into your DNA and what you're doing. You think about coaching too. It's you said you were you in the head coach position or just like an
No,
assistant?
I started out as an assistant coach and then I moved to associate head. Yeah.
Yeah, so there was a lady I'm sure you're aware of, I don't know, 2018, 2020, there was a lady who played for North Carolina, right, soccer team. She graduated, and then she became the head coach. I think within, like,
Yes.
the next year or 2. So, very
Yes.
similar dynamic, right? It's like, here I'm a peer, and now I'm kind of this authoritative, figure, if you will, right? So it's like,
Right.
how do you challenge that or, cater that dynamic?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and I think to that point, I think that also gave me a lot of life lessons early on about how do I come alongside people? Because yeah, if I was just your teammate and now I'm telling you what to do, it
Yeah.
might not go super well. So I think it gave me a lot of life experience really early on of like, how do you come alongside people and feel like you are giving them what they need versus telling them what to do? And I think that's that,
Yeah.
that, that whole coach thing, right? Good coaches are doing that. They're
Yep.
not saying
Yep.
do it because I told you to. They're saying, hey, like, I see that, you want to get here and let's try this and let's do it together. And I think, yeah, I think it gave me a lot of life skill really early on.
Yeah, for sure. No, you can definitely tell. That's awesome. Okay. Well, you coached for 22 decades, right? Can you tell us about maybe a moment on the field or in the locker room as well that shaped your philosophy of leadership? That
Yeah, so, I'm gonna actually say it's a parallel experience. It was actually a coaching education,
mm,
and I feel like I was investing in my athletes, and I was doing everything could, and I felt like things were going really well, and then I got to
right.
go. It was, United Soccer Coaches had this, coaching education in Portugal, and it was a small group, like, it was only
Mm,
20 people that could go, and so it was in, 2010. And so, or 2009. And so I, at that point, had been, coaching for, 8 years, felt like I was fairly established, felt like I was, things were going pretty well. But then I met Dr. Colleen Hacker, and she was a sports psychologist, and she had been with the US women's national team for the 99ers when they won the World Cup, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of other Olympic athletes and teams. And so it was an intimate setting to where we got to go and got to be with, professional coaches and professional teams and kind of get to hear and learn from these coaches. It was an incredible experience. But I took, man, pages and pages and pages of notes from Dr. Colleen Hacker, right? Like, I
Yeah,
was just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
just mad as
Student.
I still have these notes today.
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
still have the notebook.
Oh, okay,
And
good, awesome.
it just blew my mind because as good of a job as I thought I was doing, I realized I wasn't even scratching the surface. And the stuff she was saying wasn't rocket science, right? It was just the mental skill development that I thought I was doing, but I wasn't even close. And that just blew my mind, and that took my coaching to the next level. And I came back and I just took those notes and started applying with my team, and they loved it. Right. And
Yes,
it was
yes.
like working. So then I was like, next step, I need to do more education on this, got my
Yep,
master's, and then,
yep.
several years later, got my doctorate. And yeah, I mean, that moment of meeting her and that experience completely changed my coaching and then also just my life, frankly.
Mhm. Yeah, change the whole trajectory of coaching and just getting on a deeper level, right? The more impact, deeper
100%.
impact,
Yeah.
deeper impact.
Yeah. And it I mean, made us more successful because to your point, you're trying to get the most you can out of your athletes. And I was doing the best I could, but I had no idea there was a next level for me.
Yeah, there
And
was
then
all
and
the
amazing to, like, watch the change in my athletes and what they were able to succeed, and then to me, that's where I got so passionate about sharing it with others, so I started, I would speak at camps or I would guest speak for
Mhm.
other teams because people saw that difference. They're like, "Can you come help our team or help us as coaches?" And so it was just really incredible to get to share that, and it's something I didn't even know existed before that trip.
And gratifying too, because I think at
Yes.
that point when you start to do, you're like, "Oh, like, this is working." And then you
Yes.
kinda get that like, "Oh, people wanna know more about this. This is great." So I'm getting feedback from my players, coaches are seeing
Yes.
other coaches are seeing this.
Yeah.
So there is that gratification in that work.
Yeah, and I think another piece of it is I've always coached at small colleges, and the reason why I've specifically coached at small colleges because I wanted to be places where the school was invested in developing the whole athlete and not just in winning. Don't get me wrong, I
Mhm.
want to win. I want to win every game. I'm going to do everything I can to win, but I wanted to be somewhere where it was about more than just the scoreboard at the end of the game. And
Exactly.
so in that, you're underfunded. You don't have the facilities, you don't have the scholarships, you don't have everything. So my goal and job was giving my athletes everything I could so they could compete against these teams that had so much more. And we did compete and we were successful. And it just geeks me out to be able to be the underdog and then be beating these teams, right? That are fully funded or have
Yep, all
these
the
other
money.
facilities or whatever. And we had these other, these mental skills that were just people were like, "Where did you get this athlete?" And I'm like, "You recruited them and you passed them up and they're
Yep.
thriving." Right? So
Yeah, we
it
have
was
the
fun.
secret sauce.
Yes,
Yeah, we
exactly.
have the secret
Yeah.
sauce. Awesome. Speaking of sports too, kinda same line here. What do you think sports maybe taught you or teaches you about maybe human nature? And this come from a coaching perspective too, human nature, resilience, and community, right, as a
Yeah.
culture.
Yeah, well, I'll just start with even growing up, like, sports was my community. I mean,
Mm,
it was a place where I fit in, it's a place where I thrived, it was a place where I could be myself. I
yep,
mean, I did not grow up as a typical female, I was playing on the boys' teams because I grew up in the '80s and there wasn't girls' teams, right? So, it's like, that was my community, and that was where I felt like I could just show up and be me. And so,
yeah,
not
love
only
that.
did I love the sport for sport, but I loved it for the community, and I think, that's a big part of my life, and what shaped me. I think the other thing is you talk about resilience. It's like, man, sports are tough. I mean, so
Mhm.
you can do everything right and have something not go your way and lose, and that is such an important life lesson. And you just the physical pain you go through,
Yeah, yeah.
right? I mean, just like what it takes to be good at your sport, the consistency, the showing up when you don't feel like showing up. I mean, the life lessons are insane. And so I think I continue to carry those today. And it's something I love. I have athletes that played for me that I have one actually, she's a physical therapist now for Oregon Health Sciences University.
Good
It's
to
like one of
hear,
the
good
top
to hear.
places to be a PT in Oregon. And
Yes.
I swear every few months she like texts me and says something that she's using. And mind you, she's like, in her 30s now. but she'll text me every couple months and tell me something that she's taken from sport or something we did
Mm,
together that she's using in her job or using in her life. And I think
that's a
the
good thing.
the lessons are innumerable, right?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, that's important. It's funny you said you could do everything right and still lose or still and I feel like that lessons is really, really valuable. It's hard because right, you never wanna be on that end of like, we did all the things we did right. We worked out, we studied, we watched film, we did all this training and then come up short. But there's a great life lesson and you saying develop too, like I'm thinking obviously I played football at Bowling Green. My coaches were in the max. So yes, we get money, but like a lot of those coaches are still developing. They're young. They want to go to the next level, but they got to focus on development. I think of Nick Saban when you're talking about developing, like you're beyond the scorecard and then the championships. Like we're here to develop you as an athlete, as a student athlete, and then beyond. And like that's more valuable than anything else is like seeing that growth internally. Yeah. So I wanna switch gears here. Looking at your map in the back, and this is what I'm excited about, talking about travel, your perspective, yes, and being human, right? So we talked offline, right? So those who are listening, we talked offline and, talked about traveling, and you traveled all over the world. You even have a tattoo, which you showed me, which is dope. So hopefully, maybe someone will get a little view here, but, um, of all the places that mean the most to you, what does travel represent, like, in your life? Or what it has been be represented, maybe?
Yeah, yeah. So I got the travel bug when I was at 15. I had the opportunity to go to Paraguay for a summer with an organization. We were building some houses and doing some work out in a really remote area. Doing work on a school, and it was life changing for me because I saw things I'd never seen before. I mean, I grew up in a small town in Oregon, 13,000 people, middle of nowhere. We were the big
Oh,
town
yeah.
visit at the Walmart, if that gives you an
Yeah,
idea. I mean, we were
yeah,
middle of
yeah,
nowhere. Okay,
yeah.
so I hadn't seen anything really, and so to go there and to see people living, a life that was just so different from mine, and to, like, meet them and hear them say
Mhm.
different things that I'd never heard before, and, like, it just really opened my eyes and gave me, what people call wanderlust of, like, I
I wanna see
want
that.
to have my worldview, challenged.
Yeah,
Right?
yep.
Because here I did grow up in a small town thinking I knew so much, right? And then
Right, we all
and
do.
then you go, "Wait a second, I don't know anything." And so I think that has, like, just given me this drive that's what I love so much about travel is I love talking to people, learning from people, just getting their perspectives on the world, on life, on, what are
Mhm.
their priorities, and it's amazing. I've actually made a lot of friends around the world, and I love connecting with them and just hearing their perspective on things and letting it challenge me and grow me. And it doesn't mean I always agree, but I
Right.
love that it opens my mind. And I think another big thing is it has been like a place of solace for me because, if
Mm.
when I'm struggling with something or I'm stressed or like during my doctoral program, man, I like that about killed me. And I traveled a lot because
Yeah.
because when you're traveling, like it takes all your focus, right?
Yep,
You
yep,
can't
yep.
be thinking about all of the regular stuff of life, so it has been a solace for me as well. And so it has been a place of great joy and great peace and something that I just yeah, great growth. So and I'm happy to
Yeah.
show off my ink if
Yeah,
you want
go
me
ahead
to.
if you can, yeah, for viewers, we'll
Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
we'll
yeah,
get this recorded.
yeah. So yeah, um, can, see here. So
Yeah, I can
this
see
is, basically this one right here is a stamp representing, the Nile River, and my experience on the Nile River
sweet.
was something that was just like, something about it, it felt like a spiritual connection to a place I
Yes.
didn't imagine having, right? So that's a representation of there. This is a stamp from France, which just represents, again, like, how many experiences that I've had there that are just, impactful, memorable. One of my favorite cities is Stockholm here,
Yeah,
that is there. And then this is a map of Europe just in terms of, like, how much, time I've spent getting to
yeah,
travel in Europe and loving that. And then, Marrakesh was I wanted to go to Africa for so many years, and that was my first stop in Africa, and it was also, I think, the most otherworldly place I had ever been. Like, it was like, when I
yes.
was experiencing it, I go, "I'm gonna have to process this later." Like, it was just
It's sandy there, right?
incredible,
It's like
right?
sand is it sand like, you're in the desert, is that correct? Like
Yes, it is. It's
sandy
in the
yeah,
desert.
yeah,
So I flew into Casablanca, just drove through the desert it was at night, just drove to the desert. When I arrived, I felt like I was in the middle of an Indiana Jones movie. I mean, it
yes.
was just it was unbelievable. It was hard to have it feel real. And then the last city I have here is Copenhagen. Again, another one of my favorite cities,
Yeah,
and a place that I have just. It's interesting because I feel like in Sweden, and I would include Copenhagen as well. Something about it feels
yeah,
like home. Like it
yeah,
feels
yeah,
like I don't know if I lived there in another life. I don't know, right? Sort of thing. Like it just something about it feels like home. So yeah, that's kind of the representation there. And then I have the wolf you feed, um, which is from the parable of the two wolves, and then Dare Greatly, which comes from Theodore Roosevelt's Man in the Arena.
yes. I love that. I love that you actually have it like as an art piece, right? Like it's a part of
Yes.
you, right? It is like a
Yeah.
part of you, who you are, and you
Yes.
wear that proudly. Yeah, to
So yeah,
share.
I
So
wanted it to be symbolic. So I actually like kind of thought about it for several years before I did it because obviously it's big and it's on your arm. And the guy that I worked with, the artist, I kind of told him like I was like, "This is the idea I have, but I'm not exactly sure." But just wanting it to be symbolic more than just like people go, "Oh, those are the all the cities you've been to." I'm like, "I've been to all these cities, but they're not all of the cities I've been to."
yeah, they're
But yeah, wanting
meaningful.
it to be symbolic.
Yeah, no, it looks good. Like I said, so shout out to your artist there.
Yeah, he's in South Bend, and he is
Really?
yeah. So he's a local guy. So he does really good work. So
Yeah, no, no, yeah, he's legit. He's legit. Well, speaking of sports, or no, not sports, but travel. And then once again, you kind of touch on this a little bit, but how has being in different cultures, landscapes, environments, shaped the way you see people in general?
yeah, I think I grew up with a pretty black and white way of thinking. I mean, I grew up in a home that was pretty black and white. So I think, again, as a lot of kids do, you think you have it figured out. And
Yep, yep.
and then I think just hearing other people's life experiences um and understanding what's important to different cultures. And I think the biggest thing that it has opened my mind to maybe realizing that maybe nobody's getting it right, like, everyone's doing the best they can, and they're just kinda coming at it from a different angle, and I think it's easy, especially here in the United States, for us to, at times, maybe not right now with all the
Yeah,
chaos, but at
yeah, lately.
times, it has felt like maybe somehow we have something figured out that the rest of the world doesn't, and then when I go and learn from other cultures and people, I go, "Man, I think they've got something figured out that we don't have," right? Even their perspective on
Mhm.
family and so much of Europe specifically, they work to live versus live to work. And here in the United
Yes.
States, it's so often our job is our focus and our job is our life. And that's been something that has often stuck with me. Or even just their view of history. We're so young as a country compared to them. They kind of laugh at how young we are, and they're not wrong, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
I
So
I was
yeah,
gonna say, I love that because it's so true. Like, I had a buddy who went to Italy, and he said the exact same thing, right? They don't live to work.
yeah,
That's not their DNA, that's not their culture,
right.
and that's so true. I think, as you said, you expand, you see different, piece of nuggets, history, um, and just the way of life is different, you know?
Yes.
It's interesting. So, yeah, you're right. Different perspectives, right? I'm sitting at a table and, metaphorically, there's 4 different seats, right? As you said, not I feel like everyone's still learning to your point, 1. But there are different viewpoints, right? There's 4 down I always say there's 4 ways to get downtown, right? You're still getting to the end, but there's 4 ways to get downtown. So, we can't say, right, in America's way, this is the only way,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
There's other ways. There's better ways is another way to
Right.
look at it
Yeah.
to get there. So
Absolutely. And
so
I
I
think
agree.
another thing that I always love is just I'll oftentimes ask people if I'm talking to them, like, "What's your view of the United States?" Right? Like, I want to know what do people think of the United States, or what do they
Yeah.
think of other countries? Right? I mean,
Yep.
it's like it's just so interesting because everyone has their bias, right? Like, just because they're in another country doesn't mean they don't have their bias.
For sure.
But even like I have a close friend in Germany that I met through travel, and she'll talk about things that, you know, in our conversation, she goes, "I think about things differently from talking to you." So it's cool to
Mm,
go both ways. It's not like I'm just learning from them, but they're also,
right.
it's kind of this melting pot of thinking about things differently and experiencing things differently. And so that was kind of cool for her to say that of like she goes, "I never would have done XYZ if I hadn't met you, but it gave me the boldness because here, you know, that's more we view that as an American mentality, but actually that serves us really
Yeah.
well, right, in this
Yeah.
situation, right?"
Might be a little taboo over there, but it's normal over here. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of your places you've traveled, right? So I know it's been a bunch, but is there any one place or maybe a moment that through traveling that's changed you forever? Or and in that moment too, if you can explain like what happened or maybe what took place that really kind of like gave you that moment.
Yeah, and I think, as I think about, obviously there's so many so many moments, but I think that the top one is, I kind of prefaced it before, but standing on the Nile River, like, when I went
Yeah.
to Egypt, of course, I expected the pyramids to be amazing, right? And of course, they're the pyramids, so it's fantastic, and you think like, "Man, if I had lived during this time, I never would have seen this because I'm a Muggle," right? I'm
Yep.
not someone who would have been able to be here, which is kind of amazing. But we actually stayed at a hotel that was right on the Nile River, and it was just, I just remember standing there every morning and every evening and just looking at it, and I think the history of it all, and you look across the Nile, and it's the Valley of the Kings, which there's all these tombs, across the river, and just I felt like all I can say is like the just almost the how much history has been lived in that one spot, and that can be true of so many places, but something about that
Especially right there
experience,
though. Yeah.
yeah, like I'm actually getting goosebumps talking about it right now.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
so, and it's even so hard to put into words, but like I said, it was like all I can say is a spiritual experience as far as just feeling like you're getting to experience this moment in time of this place that, since the beginning of time almost, cradle of civilization type stuff, of this body of water that has given so much life to so many people, and I'm here just getting to experience it, and something about that just did change me forever.
Yeah. I'm a big history guy too, so I think just being there and they're probably and so you speaking that too, there's probably other people that feel the same way. There probably is in essence, right? There's a spiritual, electromagnetic, whatever you want to name it, right?
Yeah,
Um, field there, right? Because I like,
right.
as I was saying, I'm a history guy, so I think jokingly, if you TiVo that moment and go all the way back into history, there's been so many lives that Nile River, to your point,
Yes,
fed families, civilizations, right? There's been
yes,
so much that's ran off that body of water, and even to today, right? Even in our modern day, but it's like it's just been so much that's been it's been so valuable probably to to humans, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Society.
Well, and to that point, I was in Ethiopia, in December, and I
Yeah.
was at, a museum there in Addis Ababa, and, was with, my driver was awesome guy, 'cause it's like, basically, you either pay for a taxi to take you places or you pay $10 an hour to have a driver, and I was like, can you just hang out with me?"
Yeah.
So,
All
he
day.
came to the museum as well, which is fantastic, so I was getting to ask him his thoughts on things, and he was a young guy, and he was, like, not used to being a tour guide, so we just kinda became friends, and I would ask him
Yes.
about stuff, but he was talking about, yeah, the famines that they've had through there, and all those famines are directly related to the Nile River. Like, how, like,
Yep.
again, like how much life or lack of life is a result of that place, which is, it's
Mhm.
mind blowing when you think about it.
Yeah. No. Totally, totally agree. Last question here on travel. When you think about, who you were before all the travel, right? And now who you are after, right? You travel all these places. Is there anything that's different or maybe what's different and maybe in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is just how little I think I know now.
Mhm.
It's like the more I learn, the less I know. Whereas
Yes, I
I
was gonna
think,
say that. Yes, the more you
me as
think you
as
know.
a as a cocky college athlete,
Yeah.
really thought I knew a lot.
Yep.
You know? And and I think, yeah, the older I get, the less I know, and I think that's probably been the best part of that. And then also I just have so many friends internationally now that I never would have had. I mean, and I'm so grateful. They have had such a positive impact on my life, and I just really value and cherish them, even though they're
Mhm.
spread throughout the world. But yeah, I think the biggest change has just been in, maybe my cockiness.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely traveling is definitely a humbling experience to see,
Yes,
yeah, the
yes,
different, levels, if you will, from just, different places, food, money, everything, history. So, yeah. And speaking of traveling too, there's, I got friends. I went to Bali a couple years ago. You got friends in like Switzerland and like Japan. So it's cool to see these, you connect there when you're traveling and then you see all these people from different worlds. One's still in Thailand. So it's really cool to see that natural, relationship kinda develop. And it
absolutely.
in a
Yeah,
sense, it kinda keeps you connected in the in a sense to those people in that country and where they're from, and, it's just cool to kinda see their lifestyle as well.
yes, yes.
So I'm gonna switch gears, transition to your bread and butter, which is mindfulness, right? Well-being, which I love, right? Performance. And when you talk about, mindfulness with athletes and business teams nowadays, right? As you're in the corporate world, what does mindfulness actually mean maybe to you and beyond all the buzzwords, right? We're kind of in this society
Right.
where so much
Yeah.
fluff, so much buzzwords, but it's like, what does that really mean? So,
Right.
what does that mean to you, I guess, beyond, mindfulness to you?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's really about being present and just being aware of what's going on in the present moment. I think when I started my doctoral research, I wasn't planning on doing it in mindfulness. I was planning on something else. And I ended up stumbling across mindfulness and I was such a doubter. I was like, what is this? It felt floofy. It was not my
Yeah, yeah,
thing. I'm not a floofy person. But I
yeah.
just like started diving in and researching because there was so much research about the benefits of it. And so I just researched. It took me about 5 months of heavy research. I mean, it's obviously a doctoral
Days.
program. So you are hours a week.
Yeah, yeah,
And at
yep.
5 months, I go, "I can't be a doubter anymore." Like, there is way too much evidence. And so then I started researching why. Why does it work? Well,
Mhm.
mindfulness is about paying attention in the present moment in a non-judgmental way. Now, that also sounds floofy for a lot of athletes, but then I researched, well, what's the deal with non-judgment? What does that mean? It does it because if you're a hardcore athlete or a hardcore corporate person or whatever, you feel like I need to judge myself, I need to hold myself accountable. But the reality is it's like there's so much research around, okay, if I'm paying attention in the present moment, then I'm getting the most out of what I need in that moment versus being distracted by other things, right? It's like we all know if we're working on something and we're checking our phone every 5 minutes, we're not as efficient, we're not as effective, we're not going to perform as well, right? An athlete on the field, if they're, like if a basketball player is getting ready to take a 3-point shot and all of a sudden they start thinking about, oh, if I miss this, I'm going to get pulled, right? Like all the different
Yes,
things. We're
yes.
going to lose the game. We're going to this. Like it actually reduces your performance because now your attention is split. So mindfulness is just about training yourself to pay attention to the thing that you're wanting to pay attention to. Like I just call it focus practice a lot of times to get out of the buzzword
Yeah, I like that, I like that.
and just being intentional with that, and then it's also becoming more aware of our thoughts, being more aware of our body, and in the sense, again, not in a floofy way, but in a sense of being able to give our attention to the thing that's gonna help us perform the best. And the more
Mhm.
we're aware of that and find that, then we're able to lock in and get the things done that we need to and perform at our peak.
Yeah. Ooh, that's you say that, and I'm like and I even try to practice on mindfulness too, but I'm like, if we can just slow down, right? Focus on the present. Because honestly, all we have is the present, right? If you break it down from a physics level, like we're in the now, but
Yep.
slowing down, being not judgmental. Would you say also, and this is my just curiosity kind of offline, not non-attachment or not non-attachment, but non-judgment would be like what am I trying to say? Maybe being the observer or maybe non-attachment. You're not attached to something.
Yeah,
So there's
exactly, yeah,
separation there.
and so, essentially, like, for instance, if, you're at training, one day and you're like, "Man, I am not feeling it today,"
Yeah.
instead of coming down hard on yourself for not feeling it, you go, "Oh,
Right.
that's interesting, I'm not feeling it today," right?
Yeah, yeah,
And you
yeah.
just kinda go, because then if you kinda step back, as you said, as the observer and go, "That's interesting, I'm not feeling it today," it allows you to maybe even process through the why, versus if you just start beating yourself up for not being into it, you never actually get to the why,
Yeah. It's
you know?
I'm down. I don't like, you're beating yourself up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I'm a total geek about this stuff because I think, like, again, especially when I was such a doubter and I just thought it was woo woo and I was not into it. And then the deeper I got, I was like, oh, this actually makes sense. And like
Yeah.
the more research behind all the levels of it, it all makes sense and it all works. And I've just seen so much change in my own life using it and using, like you
Mhm.
said, even like being the observer and going, interesting, you're feeling that way. Okay.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Versus just trying
Dialogue.
to change it or push yourself through, and then it's interesting how it's just like so many things in life, if we hold it more loosely, we have more success than if we're just trying to force
I know,
something.
right? Like a bent hose. Yeah, it doesn't flow.
Yep.
Yeah, and honestly too, you're probably one of the best people to not only teach it because not only you have a doctorate in it, but you were someone who was sounds like maybe pessimistic. You're poking holes in it. Like, I'm trying to find all
Yeah.
the wrong, right?
Oh,
And you're
yeah.
like, I can't find any any wrong here, right?
Mhm.
And
No, I
not
was
only do you not
massively poking holes in it.
right, and now not only you have the knowledge, now you have the experience, right? And in the
Mhm.
corporate world and sports, it's like when you have the knowledge and the experience, that's vitally, valuable rather than just having the knowledge. So, yeah, that's huge.
Well, I feel like it sets me up too, because a lot of people, when I'm working with athletes, and I start right away, like, hey, like, especially if I'm working with a team, the coach is bought in, but not all the players is like some of them are gonna be bought
Yeah,
in, others are not. So I always like
that's
start off
huge.
just kind of being like, yeah, I was a doubter and here's why I thought this and like just kind of speak right to them to begin with. And I usually say, like, hey, like I sat where you sat, so like just give it a shot, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
just give it some time. It's not, give it X amount of time. It's not for you. It's not for you. And it was amazing. So when I was teaching, actually started using this with my classrooms, and it was amazing to watch. The same thing, like some of these, you know, burly male athletes, especially, all of a sudden come in and go, my game's getting better. I'm doing better
Right.
in school. Like, they kind of are
Yeah.
like telling you off to the side, like, by the way, it's
Yeah.
working.
Yeah. 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 Right. Like, hey, this is kind of working. I want to say it out
Yeah.
loud. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Speaking of all that too in sports and performance, and with your performance, whether it's physical and mental, what do you believe like most people, and this could be athletes too, kind of your realm or corporate, most people are missing when it comes to inner focus and clarity?
That's a good question. I think a lot of it is comes from the confidence piece, and I think that when I say the confidence piece, I think there's so much comparison
For
that
sure.
happens,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
so a lot of their mental space is taken up in comparison instead of actually being able to lock in
Yeah.
and
Just
focus on
like,
what they need to do to get better.
yep.
And I think
Yeah.
that is especially in today's society. I mean, social media's added a lot to that, and so it's completely understandable that people struggle with this. I'm not at all saying people suck or,
Yeah.
should
Yeah.
figure it out. It's like it's just a reality of it's a much bigger part of reality of our life. And so I think it's always been a struggle, but that much more it's a struggle for people right now, which again is totally understandable. We see all these other people all the time that are seemingly getting it right, and we're not getting it right, or we have so much to compare to. So I don't say that in a negative way. I just say I think that's the reality of the world we live in, and I think that's the number one thing that keeps people out of the present moment and hinders their performance.
I would literally, I totally agree. I was gonna even add like personally, confidence and busyness, right? We're so busy or distracted, right? That's another way you could put it in there. But
Yep,
yeah, confidence. If your confidence lacks, right, you understand your thoughts dictate your feelings dictate your actions. And that becomes a vicious cycle, becomes an identity, a personality, a belief. And then now it's your personality, now it's your attitude, right? You're
right.
negative because you have a low self-confidence.
Yes.
And yeah, totally agree.
Well, and I think to add on to that, talking about the business world, same as business and same as sports, is like along with if our confidence is shaken, if we're worried about comparison, we're not willing to take the risks that we need to take. And so we end up, we're afraid we're going to fail. So then we don't take the risk that's going to take us to the next level. And then we do always just kind of like stay in this spot down here. And we're like, well, what are they doing that they're getting ahead? Well, they're probably willing to take the risk. Right.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Spot on, spot on. In dealing with that too, like how do you deal with people with let me back up. How do you help people, deal with pressure for performance, whether on the soccer field or in the boardroom,
Yep.
helping them deal with the pressure?
Well, the first thing I do is I help them break down like what pressure are they feeling? Where is it coming from?
Yep.
Pretty much always coming
Yep.
from them, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's the thing they realize first, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's like
exactly.
they're the one putting the pressure on themselves, and
Yep.
so I honestly just start with, like, "Okay, what feels like pressure?" Right? And I just keep asking questions to help them process through where is this pressure coming from for them? And again, 9
Yeah.
times out of 10, it's from themselves. So then we talk about what, the why behind it. And then we talk about, how do they want to feel when they're doing this thing? Right. And we just start creating a game plan that works for them. I'm not a one size fits all. I'm all about
Correct.
listening,
Yep.
what's going to work for them. I love listening for cues and things that they say that I can help something work for them.
Mhm.
So I worked with Penn State women's soccer this last year, and 28 athletes. I'm not giving them all the same advice. I mean, I'm coming up with a little game plan that's different for. I mean, some of them
That
maybe it's the
tweaks.
same, but a lot of them it's something different because it's got to be what works for them. It's got to be something
Yep.
that clicks for them.
Yep. And I love what you said too. In my words, I heard from another mentor, David Gibson. He's actually a speaker from Indianapolis, but shout out to him. He said, identify the what and the why. What is causing you stress and why is that, right? And as you do this, you're gonna peel back all these layers. You're actually gonna get to like what is the real reason behind how you're feeling, and then to your point, let's shift that. Let's go to a higher ideal, a higher idea of where do we want to go? How do we want to feel
Yes.
in those moments?
Yep.
And then help them get there.
Well, and that's actually brings up another mindfulness technique that I love and I use quite a bit. And that is a lot of times we don't know what the what and the why is, right? And so there's actually a mindfulness technique where you can, like, I suggest closing your eyes, right? You can close your eyes and just kind of ask yourself, like, oh, why am I feeling this way? And just don't answer it. Like, just let your
Mm,
brain kind of like just see what I call like what floats to the surface. And if something
Yes.
floats up, don't like grab on it, just notice it, notice it, notice it. And I have found that works so well for me in problem solving because if I try to figure it out, it's like you almost like
Yes.
overdo it. But if you just sit back, relax, and go, interesting, I'm feeling this way. Why am I feeling that way? And just stop talking to yourself and let your brain
Yep.
work. I find it has been money for me.
Yes. Once again, I take that. Vernon Howard has another book by that. I'm blanking on the title, but once again, you observe. I love what you said. Bring it to the surface because that resonates with me. Like, let your thoughts come. Don't strain. Don't try to figure it out because our brains are firing at thousands of thoughts a day, per minute, per second. We
Yes.
want to figure it out. We want to feel security. We want to feel that we know we're in the know. And
Yep.
it's like peel back, slow down, let those thoughts come to the surface, and be not judgmental, like you said, and
Absolutely.
listen to your body kind of somatically. So
Yes.
that was awesome. And you teed up my next question too. You kind of beat me to it. So I was going to ask, what are one or two practical tools you can give to people to regulate stress, and show up more fully in the moment?
Yeah, so, I mean, the number one is paying attention to the breath. I mean, that is like the classic mindfulness thing, but breathing in for 3 seconds, pausing, breathing out for 4 seconds is one that basically activates our parasympathetic nervous system, with
Mm-hmm.
that longer out breath. There's a lot of different, there's box breathing, there's different things, but the good one about the in for 3, pause, out for 4 is that the longer out breath actually helps calm your heart rate down. So in so many studies, and I've done studies on myself with it, it's kind of amazing. But also not only the breath itself, but locking in and just paying attention. How does it feel? Right? Like it's an opportunity to grab your attention away from whatever's stressing you out.
Sure.
Um, and so that's like the core of mindfulness is breathing.
Breath work. Yeah.
And so that's a massive tool. And then another one I say is like practice, like just practicing focus. And some people are like, I don't want to do the eyes closed thing, whatever. It's like grab a pen or your water bottle, whatever. And
Yeah.
like literally just 30 seconds, I'm going to notice as many things as I can about it. And that's like an active way of practicing mindfulness. And then
Yeah.
if my brain goes to whatever I'm worried about, I just grab it back, go back to the pen. Right. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
push-ups for your brain. Like it is like the simplest way to practice, and it feels silly, but if you try it, you actually get so much better at catching your brain and bringing it back to the thing that you need to focus on.
You ever notice how sometimes you know exactly what you want to do, where you want to go, but something inside keeps pulling you back? It's not strategy. It's not effort. It's not even fear. It's the patterns running underneath everything. The beliefs you didn't choose, the loops you inherited, the internal static between who you are and who you're becoming. I created something for that. It's called the Coherence Diagnostic, a free assessment designed to show you exactly where those patterns are and what's possible when you shift them. Whether you're an athlete chasing flow or an entrepreneur building from vision, this diagnostic reveals the subconscious filters shaping your decisions, your confidence, your next move. It's free, it's deep, and it's in the show notes. Take it, see your patterns, and let's talk about what comes next. Because life is art in motion, and you deserve to create from coherence, not chaos. Yeah, two things because I love those. So hopefully the viewers and listeners are getting that and be able to write that down. But one, um, you were talking about breath work, and I feel like that is so crucial. Like literally, that is such a vital. That is like the foundation to all of us, right?
Yes.
I'm a big reader on like philosophy and physics, and a lot of it stems back whether Eastern or Western. Um, Psychology information is like that comes before breath. On a spiritual level, the breath is like the domain, right? And like I've been trying to, even personally, I've been trying to do that, right? Certain days I wake up, right? I breathe in, hold it, and then I breathe, right? Release for 4 seconds. Or
Yep.
I'll hum. I'll kind of lightly hum
Yeah.
to release. So yeah, so about important. The second one was, a mentor of mine, Bob Proctor. He would, say if you could light a candle, if I'm looking in front of you, light a candle and just focus on the flame, or try to focus on the flame, or put a dot on the wall like a circle and try to look at it from across the room. So, you'd be surprised how hard it is, right,
Yep.
to focus. But to your point, you train it's like a muscle, right? It's like you're
Yep.
training this muscle to get
Yeah.
stronger. Your will, your focus, um, just increases, right? And you flex that muscle.
Well, and another one I'll throw out there too
Yeah.
is that I use a lot of times for athletes who maybe aren't into this stuff quite as much, right? And that's music. Like everyone likes to listen to music. So I'll say
Yeah.
throw on your
Yep.
headphones for one song, like all you do is focus on, you get to pick, you focus on the lyrics or you focus on the ups and downs of the music or when it gets louder, when it gets faster, or when it gets slower. Like, and that, so that's your mindfulness practice and it's something you already like to do. It doesn't have to be like eyes closed, whatever, sitting
Yeah.
cross-legged. It can
Yep.
be
Yep.
just something you already like to do. And you're just like, I'm going to be all in on this one song. And that also builds that muscle, right? And it's something that feels a little less threatening to people who maybe aren't into, the eyes closed, you know, s-
Back
any
the
of the other
standard.
types of things.
Yeah, and it changes your mood. Like I do that. Like,
Yep.
I can see clearly now. Like you can turn that on, and like boom, your mood
Right.
shifts. Right. If you're yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Like you can just turn on the music, and I'm like, all right, I feel better. Right.
Yep.
I was down or I was
Absolutely.
upset,
Yeah.
and yeah. So music moves you. Right. Music is yeah, it lives in you. So great, great. I hope people are taking that down. So we have those ready to go. All right, so we're going to switch from coaching to corporate, right? I think it
Yep.
transitions well to what you're doing now. Um, speaking of Winnebago, where you're at, right? What brought you to Winnebago, and how did that opportunity appear in your life when it came to corporate?
Yeah, so actually, had gotten connected with some people from Winnebago through RBWA, RV Women's Alliance. So, I had done some speaking for them, and when I was at Lippert, and then I'd met quite a few people through the just through RBWA, and I connected with them on LinkedIn, and then I actually had through LinkedIn ended up they suggest someone for you, and
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I connected with Isadora Blanchet, who is now currently my boss, and she just looked like a fun person to connect with. I was continuing to want to grow and learn about the industry, and so we connected,
right.
and we just really clicked. And she was just talking about like where Lippert was at. She was wanting to know like what we were doing, in the culture space. And they were basically, younger in their culture journey. And so
Mhm.
as we were talking, it kind of I didn't know that they were, at like hiring a position for this. I found out
Yeah,
in
yeah.
that conversation, we were just
I
having
say
a
she probably
conversation and
knew.
she was like,
Yeah,
would you be interested, like in considering this because it's well, I mean, I shouldn't say she asked. She brought it up and I asked because
yeah,
she didn't actually. I don't want to say that she recruited me away
yeah,
because it was just a mutual conversation that was
yeah.
happening, right?
Yep.
But for me, it was exciting to be able to come be a part of someone that was wanting to build their culture journey. And I had a great opportunity of growing the Marine division at Lippert, um,
Mhm.
and so I kind of already, they were so far along in their journey that I felt like they were at a good place to be able to go
Yeah.
start somewhere else
Yep.
and help grow the journey at Winnebago Industries, and also the opportunity to be at an OEM. It's closer to the industry, right? Because Lippert was a supplier,
Mhm.
so have an OEM, and then also so many brands to get to learn the brands and to get to have impact at an industry level was
Yeah.
something that really was exciting for me. And I love what they're doing and trying to be a leader in the environmental space. They're trying to be a leader in the culture space, right? In addition to what they're wanting to do, they are about the lifestyle that positively impacts people, right?
Yep.
Elevating every
Right.
moment outdoors. Like they are about something much bigger than just selling RVs or selling boats.
Yeah, yeah, and I love that she was intentional, or at least that's what I assume. It sounds like she was very
Yes.
intentional through that conversation of like,
Yes.
"Hey, we wanna get better, right? We
Right.
wanna get better in this department." And it sounds like from your perspective, there's a lot of upside, right? There's a lot of upside, a lot of potential, what could be, and
Mhm.
what can come, right? Not only from your position, but what the company was doing and where they wanna go. So,
Yes.
yeah, it's huge. And also too, in your position, right, with Winnebago, for people who have never heard of your title before, could you share, like, what do you do day to day, or what does that look like?
Yeah. So yeah, senior business inclusion. I'm sorry, senior inclusion business partner. Gosh, you get tongue tied here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically internal and external. So internally, wanting to help Winnebago industry, so all of our brands, help it to be a place where people feel like they can be at their best at work. And so if that's helping, people have the language to be able to speak up when they need to, or to know how to hear each other, right? Or how do we help them feel like they can show up and be at their best because we're going to be more innovative, right?
Yep.
We're
Yep.
going to
Yep.
work more efficiently. And so that obviously can be a lot of different things. So sometimes that's trainings around communication, or sometimes that's trainings around, EQ, or, it can mean a
Mhm.
lot of different things. And then industry wise, it's also how do we connect inclusion to the business? And when I say inclusion, if you think about, so for RV and boats, the biggest market has been basically 50 plus white men, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you
Yep.
look at our country, that's actually kind of a small demographic. So if we help people see that our brands are here for everyone, then not only is it good for the industry, but it's good for us because, like, why would we not want to market beyond 50-year-old and above white men? Right?
Yep.
Like, that's
Yep.
kind of
Yep.
limiting your audience. So not
No,
only are we
absolutely.
doing it on a business side of things, but also we want to be a brand that people feel like whoever they want to be, right? Whether they're a podcaster and they're a nomad, right? We want to have something for them. If they want to take their kids out on a boat on a weekend, if they want to be the grandparents or the camp host, like whoever you are, whatever you want to be, we want to be able to have something for everyone. And so my day to day is funky. It's not the same every
Oh, I'm
day.
sure.
I
Yeah.
work on different projects but that's kind of the scope of what I'm doing.
Yeah. We'll love it. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for sharing too. So they
Yeah,
have a better idea of what you're doing. Yeah, when I looked at your guys' website too, Winnebago, was like to your point, like they want to be everywhere. And I know that sounds business 101, you can't be for everyone, right? But to your point, it's like, hey, we know where we've typically served 51-year-old or 50 above white males. And it's like, hey, we can serve other people, different industries, different lifestyles, like you said, podcasts, nomads, dad and mom, with a couple kids, they want to take them out and travel and go somewhere. So
right,
it's like we're not gonna limit ourselves
right.
um going forward.
And we want to be there for the next generation that wants to take their kids out, like you said, because it's like right now we have hit, the RV market has hit a certain demographic. Well, we got a whole different generation of millennials that now are wanting to take their kids out. Gen Z wanting, how do we meet their needs? Their needs and their wants and their desires are different
Yep.
than Gen
And
X or boomers, right? I mean,
yeah.
so you're right, it's total common sense, but the RV market is kind of slow to move. And so we're trying to make sure that we're doing our job to be a company that people feel really good about. A single, whether you're a single mom, right? Or
Right.
women even camping alone. I mean, there's just so many factors. We have our Newmar product is really connected with
Mhm.
accessibility. I mean, if you want to camp, but you have accessibility needs, we want everyone to be able to
Huge,
to live this
huge.
lifestyle so that they can be healthy and enjoy life in the time that we have here on this earth.
Yeah, that's huge. Too, even millennials, right? I'm a millennial, so it's like, I have 2 kids, wife, we're in that life where it's like, yeah, we wanna travel more. We wanna take our kids there, have them experience that. Uh, jokingly through my line of work, I spoke to a lady who bought an RV, jokingly as now that we're parents, now that we have adult money, we can do those things, right?
Right,
We really it's, for the kids, but really it's for us. We're still
right,
big kids. We wanna do those things and, we're
exactly.
we wanna get to a point where, yeah, we would love to buy, a motorhome, right? To take the kids and experience the vast US or whatever, to build those memories, and that's important. That's what I hear from what you're saying is that's
Yep,
important to
yeah.
Winnebago, like, those
Well, my
memories.
shirt, I don't know if you can see it, but it's a Winnebago shirt and it says "Untold Stories."
But yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like that's kind of the whole thing, right? It's like you said, you wanna make those memories. You want
Mhm.
for you, for your kids, it's like you look at you get the map out, and you go, "Where are we
Yeah.
gonna go?"
Oh,
And
that
it's like,
one.
there's gonna be stories from that.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I love. Like, that's for me, I'm a big experience guy, so, like, traveling like that is, it's fun. It's
Yep,
fun, it's priceless.
absolutely.
So when you talk about your coaching, where do you see your coaching skills, show up most in your role? If you had, probably
Yeah,
pinpoint.
I mean, honestly, I think it's listening
Mm,
because I think it's listening to what people need and then working to provide them with whatever that is and wherever they're wanting to go. Because I think that's something I didn't do as well when I was younger, and that's something I learned a lot is how important listening is. It sounds basic,
yeah,
but right,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
but honestly, I think that because listening to understand before providing a solution, because even our different brands, like my role in our different brands is not the same. Because what Newmar needs is different than what Barletta needs, is different than what
yeah,
Chriscraft needs, right? And so it's like I have to show up and listen to find what they need to be able to bring the right tool or to say, hey, you're good in that. I'm gonna leave you alone. Just
yeah,
like,
and there you go.
just like athletes on the field. Sometimes it's like, I don't want to touch that because you're doing great. So I'm not gonna touch it. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, yep, I totally agree, and I love it because, like, that's such a coach answer, and not to say cliche, but, like, it's a great answer, like, listening to understand, that was, like, perfect. You didn't dive into anything else, like, I'm here to listen, and then from there, I have the data, I have the information to say, "Here's where I can help. Here's where we can
Yeah.
play,
Yeah.
a plan."
Right, and it's
So
kinda like this is what I think I'm hearing. Is this what I'm hearing? Because if this is what I'm
Right.
hearing, I think this could help.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Confirming that. What surprised you the most about shifting from sports culture to like corporate culture?
How much I loved it,
Really?
honestly.
Okay. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
never I never thought I'd love it. So to be honest, when I just made the jump to Lippert, I was wanting to keep teaching, but then I decided to go ahead and make the jump to Lippert. And I thought, I'll give it a year because I can always get back into the teaching cycle,
For sure. For sure.
right? And I just loved it. And I just never expected to love it. I never imagined being in manufacturing. I never expected to love it. But just the like being able to help people feel seen and heard. Like I just get so much joy from that and to see them thrive
Mm,
through it. And it's like it's just such an untapped um, I don't know, for lack of a better word, market,
yeah.
I guess, but it's like in college sports and in teaching, there's all these people that want to invest, right? But in in the
Yeah.
recreational world, most
Yeah.
people are just trying to focus on getting product out the door. They don't feel like they can invest. So for me to have
Yeah.
jobs where it is my job to invest, I mean, it doesn't get better than that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you said, it's overlooked too. Very untapped,
Yeah.
overlooked. Or don't it feels like right in that realm, you don't have enough time to invest to
Exactly.
get
Not
the
that people don't want to. They
yeah,
just feel that
exactly.
pressure of getting that product out the door, and you get that, right? It's like
Yeah.
not because they don't want to, it's just they feel so many other pressures and
Well, yeah,
demands.
there's many poles in different directions.
Mhm.
Yep. Well, you talked about inclusion. We're gonna get to that in your perspective. But talking about inclusion, culture, and like human experience, you help develop cultures across multiple brands at Winnebago, right? When you think about culture, what elements to you matter most?
That's such a good question.
That might be a
Um, I mean, I think that so much of it is I'll come back to listening. It's people being willing to listen to each other. It
mm,
doesn't mean they're always gonna agree, but
right.
they have to value what each other says. And again, it doesn't mean they're always gonna agree, but they have to I think that respect and that willingness to listen, and obviously we're seeing that lack of that in society right now, no matter where you're at and no matter what side you're on.
Yeah,
There
polarized.
that's where so much of our problems are stemming from, right? And
Yep.
I think that is at the key, like, if we can get people to be willing to set aside their bias for a second. Now we all have it. We can't totally set it aside. We all have it. But if for a second I'm willing to look at you as a human being and to listen and realize you have a different life perspective than I do, and maybe there's actually a reason you feel differently or so strongly. I
Mhm.
think that that is at the core of any good culture.
Yeah. I think it diffuses a lot, right? It
Yes.
diffuses all the hostility,
Yes.
right? And you're able to just, like, communicate human to human. Now I joke, right? I'm married, so, like you said,
Right.
listening, right? And I'm like, me and
Yes.
my wife have different views. We don't always agree,
Right.
right? Your
Right.
spouse, but that level of respect, right? To say, "Here, I hear you. I'm listening,"
Right.
right? And I'm not gonna dismiss what you're saying. I'm gonna listen and, to your point, hear
Mhm.
where you may be coming from. 'Cause maybe
Mhm.
I'm missing something, right? So, I think when you show that level of respect, it diffuses a lot of, um, maybe angry feelings or thoughts, and you can actually communicate better. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, listening again. Inclusion, to now we're to inclusion. You said inclusion earlier is a big word, especially nowadays, right?
Yep.
In corporate culture and
Yep.
sometimes checking the box. But, what does inclusion mean to you when you strip it down to something human and simple?
Yeah, I think first of all, inclusion means everyone. And that's actually something that I feel like when I came to this role, I went around and just basically met with people and asked them what's good, what's bad, all that stuff. And a big thing that I heard was people saying that they feel like inclusion means exclusion, right? It means like, well, if we're including this person over here, we're excluding that person over here. And, especially like if we're gonna let's just be real honest, the white male is like, well, if we're including everybody else, then we get left out, right? And it's like, so for me, inclusion done well is inclusion means everyone. And that means that we're all respecting each other and listening to each other. We're not just saying, it's not your turn. Now it's your turn. It's like,
Yeah,
hey, how do we come at this? Right? We're not
yeah,
taking turns. We're just saying, like, how do we do this together? How do we help each other feel seen, heard, and valued? And again, that doesn't mean that we ask everyone's opinion on every little thing, but
right.
it
Yeah,
does mean like what's important to you is important to me. right? Now, clearly,
Mhm.
again, we're not gonna like, but that doesn't mean, like, if it's important to you to bash on people all the time, okay, well, you're probably not gonna
Yeah,
work here anymore, right?
yeah,
Like
exactly,
like,
that's
clearly there's limits to this, but point being is that I think it's like it's really yeah, it just keeps coming back to valuing people for who they are and what they bring.
yeah,
And so to me, inclusion is yeah, inclusion means everyone. It means helping everyone feel seen, heard, and valued. It doesn't mean everyone gets what they want all the time, but I don't know if you've had this experience before. I've felt seen, heard, and valued and not gotten what I wanted before, but I
for
felt
sure.
like I was respected in the process,
Yeah,
right?
yep,
And
I
and
felt
that
better.
for me is what it's about, because I think a lot of times people are anti-inclusion or think it's a woke phrase or whatever. It's like really
Yeah,
just like, well, don't you want to show up as your best at work? Well, if you feel seen, heard, and valued, you know, and if everyone feels that way, how fantastic can we be together? Like to me, it's about being the
yeah,
best company to work for because we're putting out the best product and we're all these things and we're not there yet, right?
correct,
But
right, always getting
meaning
better.
like if every person walked in the door feeling like they were at home, man, well,
The
how incredible would that be?
yeah, connectivity would be better, productivity as
Yep.
well, um, just the coherence in the culture, the morale would be, through the roof.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
that's actually one of my last questions here as we transition is, like, what does it look like when a team, or company feels connected and seen? And I think you kind of already touched on it.
Yeah, I think it's exactly what you said. You're firing on all cylinders. Right? I think you see the efficiency go through the roof. You see the innovation go through the roof because, again, if we go back to the science of how our brain works, if I'm at work and I'm thinking like this person over here is, doesn't like me or I can't be my full self or whatever, like I'm only going to be able to give a part of my attention to doing my job. So that means our quality is going to
Exactly.
suffer, right? That means that my speed is going to suffer versus if I can show up, I feel comfortable, I feel confident, I feel valued, then I can show up and I can work, as fast as I need to. I can have the best quality and I can bring the best ideas.
Yeah, yeah, all of that too, and you feel safe on a
Right.
baseline.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge. Alright, so as we kinda hit the back stretch here, we're gonna talk about nature, right? Nature,
Yep.
outdoors, and human wellness, which is great 'cause I know you love this as well, kinda blends into human wellness. So, obviously, Winnebago encourages people to be outside, right? Traveling, exploring, camping. What is the relationship between being outdoors and mental well-being? I know we talked about offline.
So
Yeah, so
much. So
yeah,
much. There's so much research, right? Around even if you step and there's research that says if you step outside, like, even if it's, like, not even in nature, but just stepping outside for 10 minutes, like, if you're at work and you step outside for 10 minutes, like,
yeah,
your blood pressure is reduced, right? Your heart rate drops, like, it's like your insulin resilience increases. I mean, it's insane, and that's just stepping outside, let alone being in nature. So there's so much, mental health and wellness, physical, everything that goes with being in nature, and I grew up in Oregon, so I got to grow up in a lot of nature.
yeah,
Grew up just loving camping. My dad and my uncle and my cousins, we used to all go, and my brother, we go backpacking, and, honestly, to this day, one of my favorite spots in the entire world, which is saying something, is the Eagle Cap Wilderness in Eastern Oregon. It is just a place
yeah,
of, like
yeah,
peace, you have no cell phone reception, right? I
yeah,
just out there, you and the wild, and I think it's also that mental place too of, like, connecting you to something greater than yourself, and I think that's
mhm,
what nature does as well, and I think, it allows us to get back to our roots, right? Even if you do have cell phone coverage, there still is, that place of connecting to our roots and just, I think we're designed to live life not in a cubicle
I know.
space.
Yeah, literally,
Right? We have to
literally,
adapt to live in the cubicle space. So I think, yeah, there's so much research behind mental health and wellness and it's something that I'm super passionate about.
yeah. You're reading my mind, right? Because my next question was, have you personally felt, right, clarity or being out in nature? And it sounds like you have back home,
Yes.
Oregon is, one of your spots there. When you think about what happens psychologically, right, when people disconnect from routine, reconnect with land, light, and space and breath, is there anything else maybe from your studies that you found that showed what happens when we do disconnect, like you said, get out of the cubicle, get out from one of our phones, and
Yeah.
tap
Well,
into?
One of the big things that goes up besides the health benefits, because literally like the blood pressure, like all of the physical benefits, but I think mentally there's a lot of research around creativity. So getting off our phones, and getting out into nature increases creativity, increases innovation, and I know that that's true for me. Like I
Mhm.
can be working on a lot of projects. My brain almost feels like it's buzzing sometimes. It just feels like it's like constantly like working on stuff. And, getting outside, it doesn't happen immediately, but after I'm out there and I'm deep breathing and I'm looking at I'm looking at the trees and I'm intentionally paying attention. And the next thing you know, like your brain feels lighter and you're solving that problem that you weren't trying to solve. And you're, like, and just, yeah, I think there's a big connection to creativity and then even just interconnectedness. Cause it's also that reminder that we are all connected through nature. We're all connected through the breath, as you mentioned earlier,
Yep.
and just perspective.
Yeah. We could talk, or I guess I could too, deeply on that whole topic in general, but we'll have to, save it for another time. But yeah, absolutely, you get connected, through everything. There is an interwoven lattice or fabric, if you will, that we're all, on. It's just, tapping into it.
Yes. Yeah.
Alright, so as we talk about Winnebago, right, we've been talking about that, your company where you work at, what you do. Now they're also really big on sustainability, right, and impact, which we kinda briefly, you know, stroked on there, and responsibility. Um, obviously you have different brands from different countries and different communities. How does sustainability, excuse me, show up in the way, the company thinks about impact? That
Yeah, I mean, basically they're saying they wanna elevate every moment outdoors, and if we're not taking care of our earth to be able to have time outdoors and to be able to have great spaces to go, it's irresponsible of us, right? So,
Yeah.
they've done, Winnebago Industries has commitments to reducing our water impact. We have, one of our plants in Iowa is actually, I'm blanking on what it's called, but a zero impact, like, basically,
0?
everything that they get rid of, they recycle. So it's actually like,
Yeah,
it's
it was
pretty
net 0.
impressive.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And they're continuing to work on, even so we have, the their guy that's in charge of sustainability. I mean, he's constantly working on even looking at like, okay, well, when someone's no longer using their trailer, what's happening to it? Because we don't wanna just be filling up
Right,
landfills, right? So even
right.
finding programs for how can we reclaim old product to be able to reuse it for something else, because again, like, if we aren't taking care of this planet that we're wanting to enjoy,
Yeah.
then we're kind of missing a piece of what we're trying to offer here.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's like I don't know, metaphorically, you're on a crash course on a train. Like you're not really taking care of. You say you're doing one thing, but on the back end, it's completely going to excuse my language, shit. You're not
Right.
really making a difference. So
Yes.
yeah, no, I totally agree there. When you think about stewardship, with Winnebago or and of people and the planet, what would you say that means to you personally, whether that's in your own life or just through work too, with what you guys do?
Yeah, it's so interesting because the area of, just the time that I grew up in and the people that I grew up with around, I think that wasn't really a concept. We talk about being a steward of our time and steward of our money, but not of the earth we lived on. And I think
Yeah,
that's something, so that's not something I grew up with. But then as I've gotten older, it's like, well, why would we not want to take care of the place that we live? And not only for us now, but for the next generation. And just the concept of, if we're just using and abusing things, like, that's, first of all, it doesn't make you feel very good. I'll tell you that.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And so I think it's an interesting thing. I think as humans, like, we actually are fueled positively by taking care of people and things and our world around us. And so it actually, we get that positive benefit from it as well. We get that oxytocin when we volunteer,
Mhm.
or when we're taking care of, again, even like we can see oxytocin come from taking care of plants and animals. It's kind of amazing. So we
No, is that
clearly
wild?
are designed as humans to actually care for what's around us, and I think sometimes we just get distracted. And so, I think for me, it's like, when we really stop and think about it, it doesn't make sense not to,
Mhm.
try to do that. It doesn't mean that, I mean, I obviously use electricity, I use toilet paper, I'm not, like, living out in the middle of nowhere on a
Yeah,
right?
you're
You
off
know
the
what I
grid.
mean? But
Yeah.
but I think being cognizant of caring for, this world around us and the people around us.
Yeah, you hit on the nail on the head. You're totally right. I think to your point, it's like it it makes sense, right? If it checks out logically, like why wouldn't we want to take care of where we're staying, and for future generations too, for our kids and grandkids, cousins, nieces, and nephews. Like this is, we want to make sure that we always, as the saying goes, right, leave it better than when you had it or when you arrived, right?
Absolutely.
So I think
Exactly.
there's importance there as humans to do so.
Yes.
So as we wrap up here, I got a couple more questions for you, and we'll hit the exit. But if you're looking at just like your past journey, right, your lessons, your transformations, if you go back to your younger self, right, whether as a coach or as a student athlete, what would you tell you or her about your perspective, about patience and purpose, like now where you're at now?
You used a key word. Patience was not how I used to describe myself.
Yeah.
When I was a college athlete and even, like, early in my college career, I mean, I would tell you I was not a patient person. And
Yeah.
I think, like, at all. And I have become an incredibly patient person, and I never imagined that I could do that at that point. Like, I would have never told you that was possible at 18 years old. Um,
Mhm.
but I have found such value in it, and I think, I'd probably tell myself, like, that exact thing of, like, there's more value in patience than you realize, and then also, I tried to control a lot of things when I was younger because I thought I could,
Yeah.
right?
Cool. Do. Yeah.
Man, and then that's something obviously you learn through really hard lessons that you can't control very much at all, and yeah, I think those are the 2 things. I think, like, leaning into patience and not control trying to control everything would have been massively helpful earlier in my life, right?
It comes
And I
sooner or
think those
later.
are
Yeah.
probably a couple and the last thing, I'll give one more. You don't have it as figured out as you think you do, because again
No. No, we're all learning, right?
yeah,
No, we're all learning. That's to your point, like comparing. We're all learning. No one has
yes.
it all figured out. My next question was going to be, what was one of the hardest lessons, internal lessons you've had to learn? But it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, but patience and maybe the controllables.
Yeah, I mean, some of the hardest lessons I guess I've had to learn was actually something that has served me very well now in the corporate world, but, like, you can't make anybody do anything. Like, I invested
That's
in
important.
someone for several years that at a huge, like, personal cost to me as far as the physical and emotional stress that went with that, and I just kept thinking if I invested more that they would, pick up the ball and run with it essentially, right, in their life, and instead, like, and through that experience, I mean, it was like a long process, like 13 years of investing. I mean, and it
Yeah, you were in it.
I was in it, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And then
yeah, you were in
I
it.
think finally realizing that if they wanted to pick up the ball and run with it, they were going to. Like, there was no amount of me wanting it for them, and that was a really hard lesson to learn, but man, it has served me so well because when I started working in the corporate world, like, one little thing that I do that if
Yeah.
someone's listening from Lippert, they'll be like, "Oh, that's why you did that." If somebody said came to go I'd be on the shop floor and then or, if they said, "Hey, I'd love to meet with you and talk about XYZ," I'd be like, "Great, shoot me an email and I'll set it up." But that was my layer of saying, like, "If you're interested
Mhm.
in it, you will shoot me
You'll
an
do
email
it.
and then I'll set it up for you," but making them take the first step.
Yeah, take the onus.
Right? Or if I gave them homework and said, "Okay, hey, let's do XYZ," and then reach out to me when you wanna connect again. Like, if they
Exactly.
really want it, they will, and the people that were hungry would just be, like,
Be on it.
on me about it, and I will give you everything if you're picking up the ball and running, but I learned that hard lesson, so now I am very much like, "If you're not
Yeah.
picking it up, I'm not picking it up for you."
Yeah,
Right?
and there's 2 lessons in that too, is I'm listening as your from your experience, right? 1, it values your time, right? Of where you're gonna exert your time, but 2, uh, you know, as a coach, you wanna help so bad. I think as human beings, right?
Yep.
Like, my wife's a therapist. It's like, obviously, her heart, like, you wanna help these people, these adults and kids, but it's like, they're only gonna do so much. Like you said, they're gonna pick the ball if they want to, and it's so hard because you're like, "I'm helping you, I'm giving you this resource, my time and energy," and you're like, almost like, "What the hell are you doing?" Like, all you have to do is just, like, say yes, or this simple task, but you're not doing it, right? So you invest all this time, and that can be frustrating to see that as, like, as you said, you can't control people. You can't make them do anything they don't wanna do.
Nope, and they have to want it for themselves, and that's the biggest
Yeah.
thing I learned. I can't no
Yeah.
amount of me wanting it is gonna change anything. They have to want it for themselves, and there's so many people that do want it for themselves, so go invest in those people. That's
Yep.
what I learned.
Yep. Exactly. Go where they wanna go, yeah, where they wanna get the help. Last few questions here. When you talk about your future, your vision, and messages to the listeners too, where do you see your work evolving in the next few years? If you maybe have
Well,
an opinion.
Yeah, no, I think, from the Winnebago aspect, like really actually in 2026, we're focusing a lot on the industry. And I
Hmm.
think, what are some things we can do to move the industry forward? So, like, not just our company, but the entire
Right.
recreation industry. And that's something that really excites me is being able to have impact on a broad scale. Since being at Winnebago, I've gotten to do some, pretty big speaking engagements. And so having that impact on such a broad scale is something that really excites me. And so I think continuing to dare greatly into these
Hmm.
bigger things, I think is something for me because the worst people can do is say no. I mean, all
Right.
you got to do, so it's like we're gonna swing for the fences and see what we can do. And if it
Yep.
doesn't work, it doesn't work, right?
Yeah, I like
So
that.
I think just looking at bigger picture, bigger things, trying to move bigger objects like industries is something that I think kind of going for right in the next few years.
I love what you said, dare greatly, right? I know you have a tattooed on you, but dare greatly, moving. And it sounds like going to things or moving in directions of whether departments or to your point, industries that have such a huge need, right? A bigger problem, bigger reward, right? Small problem, small reward. So it's like you understand we have to make this huge jump for something that actually has a huge need, and we're gonna need, everyone on deck to make this happen. So really going toward what's important is what it
Yep,
sounds like.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What skill or habit or mindset do you hope more people develop in order to live life more fully? Yeah.
Self-compassion.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good one. I had to
Yeah,
learn that,
because that
still
holds
learning.
us back. And I
Yes.
think that's again, that's something I've had to work on, and it came from my doctoral work, and, that I think that one's huge. Cutting
Yeah,
ourselves
that's
like, giving ourselves grace as to where we're at right now doesn't mean we're gonna be there forever, but not beating ourselves up for stuff, like, it's kinda that, like, checkpoint. I'm like, "This is where I'm at today. Okay. Like, where do I wanna go next?" Versus just
mhm.
beating myself up for something.
Yeah. Yeah, self-compassion's, man, you hit it on the head. So, I have a therapist, right, which I feel like it should be a norm for everybody, but that's like that was the first thing, like, self-compassion, have grace for yourself. Don't beat yourself up, right? If and the more we do that, it deteriorates, to your point, confidence, right, self-belief, and just your structure as a human, like, you lose all that. So,
Yes.
yeah, that was nail on the head there. So, yeah, good point. If someone's listening, right, those who are listening, right, when we air this show, if someone's feeling disconnected, right, from themselves, their team or their purpose, what is one thing you'd tell them today?
I think a lot of times if you feel disconnected, so does someone else. And
Mhm.
so I think
Yeah.
just having the bravery to be the one to take the first step.
Mm.
Like if you think I don't have any friends or someone else that feels like they don't have any friends, be the one that invites somebody to coffee. Be the one who makes that first step to, or even just to say, "Hey, how's your day going?" Because I think like a lot of times if we feel disconnected, we one think we're the only one, and two, we pull away more.
Yeah.
And so I just think I would just say, make the first move, take the risk because everyone is afraid to take the risk. So if we
Yeah.
do it, the worst that can happen is we're not
Yeah.
connected. I mean, it's like if we
Yeah.
already didn't feel connected and we don't feel
Yeah.
connected that after doing it, then nothing got worse.
Exactly. Yeah, it's funny, it's like in, in school or, someone speaks, right, your presentation, you're a speaker, and, there's probably about 10 other people in that auditorium that have the same question that you
Yep.
wanna ask, but you're
Yep.
scared to ask it. And
Yep.
your one question could help not only you, but 10 other people in the room, right? Get
Exactly.
get closer to the
Be
end
brave.
result. Yeah, be
Yeah.
brave, be brave. My last question to you, right? I ask all my guests around the show. The podcast is called Life Is, right? And that's to your point, you fill in the blank. And in essence, if I were to ask you, life is, what would you end it on, or what would you fill the blank in with?
Is an adventure.
Yes,
Life
yes, I
is an
love that.
adventure.
Yep, totally. I love that. That is so real, so honest. Yeah, it is. Everything is an adventure. And it comes with learning moments and experiences and people and all the good stuff that make life great. So I love that. If there's any my last question for our guests, if there's anywhere people can connect with you, follow your work, go ahead this time, plug in your socials and uh
Yeah.
yeah, let them connect with you.
Yeah, I mean, LinkedIn is the easiest. It's Dr. Rachel Lindvall, and so that's probably the easiest. Also on socials for DRL Performance. for my new, I'm doing my weekly arena videos that are on, a little something to hopefully help people grow and self-evaluate. And that's coming out through my LinkedIn weekly and then also on Instagram as well. So
Awesome. Well, you guys heard it first. Well, I appreciate Dr. Lindvall for coming on the show. I'll put all your information on the show notes. But once again, thank you. I appreciate it. It's been an awesome, awesome conversation. And I wish you nothing but the best.
yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.
Yes. Well, hey, you take care, and we will see you soon.
Sounds good. You too.
All right. Take care. Thanks for tuning into the Life Is podcast. If today's conversation sparked something in you, share it with a friend, leave a review, or carry the insight forward in your own way. Remember, life is what you make it. Keep creating, keep exploring, and keep becoming. Life is art in motion.